I'm Eric. I love ice cream. Like, I love it. I love it. I love it! I mean, don't we all love ice cream? I always get so excited when I can eat ice cream, but sometimes I get really excited and end up eating it too fast, and then all of a sudden, my head starts hurting. That doesn't seem fair at all, does it? Why does a sharp pain in my head come on super quickly when all I want is to enjoy my ice cream? Does my brain secretly dislike ice cream or something? It certainly seems like my brain doesn't enjoy ice cream because why else would I be experiencing an intense sensation in my forehead like someone is stabbing it? Have you heard the term brain freeze to describe this awful sensation? Calling it brain freeze makes sense, doesn't it? When you eat ice cream too fast, the intense squeezing felt all around your brain definitely feels like your brain is freezing over. But I'm happy to tell you that it's not. Your brain is not turning into an iceberg. But why does ice cream hurt my entire head when I eat it too fast? It might help us to understand all the nerves and blood vessels that are in our mouths. Our mouths are highly vascularized, which means there are loads of blood vessels in our mouths. We have blood vessels everywhere beneath the skin on our face, and these supply our brain and face with blood and oxygen to help us function. Among these blood vessels are tiny nerve endings that are connected to the brain through the trigeminal nerve. The trigeminal nerve is a nerve that makes it possible for us to feel sensations in the face, including pain, and is also responsible for motor functions such as biting and chewing. These are motor functions we use daily to survive. On the roof of your mouth, you have a bunch of nerve cells, and some of them have the job to detect cold. When these nerves detect cold, they immediately communicate that message to your brain. They're like, hey brain, we just ate something really cold. Because their job is to detect cold, once they feel something that is extremely cold, they become extremely active. So, when super cold food, like ice cream, touches the roof of your mouth, there are a bunch of nerves and blood vessels that might go a little haywire. A reason for this is the sudden onset of cold can cause a nerve reaction that triggers the blood vessels in your brain to swell. The swelling of the blood vessels can create a short-lasting sensation of stabbing pain that you can feel in the front of your head, in the back of your head, and on the sides of your head where your temples are. Now, here is where it gets a little tricky. There is a debate among scientists as to which part is more responsible for the intense pain associated with brain freeze. Scientists believe the blood vessels in the throat and mouth and the trigeminal nerve are the main reasons why we experience brain freeze when we eat cold things quickly. But scientists don't agree on which is more responsible for causing the pain. Most researchers agree that eating or drinking something cold too quickly lowers the temperature at the back of your throat and roof of your mouth. Most researchers also agree that the lowering of temperature in your mouth causes the tiny blood vessels in these areas to get really small, allowing less blood to pass through them. Because these tiny blood vessels shrink, this lowers their ability to supply your brain with the necessary flow of blood. Now, right here is where scientists are debating. Some of them believe the trigeminal nerve is responsible for the brain freeze because it responds to the cold temperature in your throat and mouth by sending a pain signal to the front of your brain. But is the nerve responding to the cold sensation felt in the nerves, or the sudden reaction of blood and oxygen supply to the brain caused by the shrinking of the blood vessels? maybe it's one or the other, or maybe it's both. Scientists are unsure. And then, on the other hand, you have other scientists believing the pain is caused by a rush of blood to the front of your head. This is because right after the vessels in your throat and mouth shrink from the cold, they then immediately expand. By expanding, excess blood and oxygen flood these areas. This blood rush could provide your brain with much needed blood and oxygen, but it also could increase the amount of pressure in your head because of the sudden influx, which will cause pain similar to a headache. We know brain freeze as brain freeze, but the medical term is sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia, also known as SPG, which is way easier to say, so we will just call it that. So scientists don't call brain freeze. They actually refer to this pain as a headache attributed to indigestion or inhalation of cold stimulus. This basically means it's a headache caused by eating or inhaling gas or vapor that is way too cold. And although it is called brain freeze, the pain actually isn't in the brain because the brain has no pain receptors. Despite having billions of neurons, the brain can't actually feel pain. But because brain freeze is sensed by receptors in the outer covering of the brain called the meninges, when the cold temperature suddenly hits, it causes the arteries near the meninges to expand and contract, and that's the sensation that the brain interprets as pain. The ice cream headache normally goes away after a minute, but boy is it no fun to deal with. Do you know how to make your brain freeze go away? Well, the trick to unfreeze your brain is to warm the roof of your mouth back up. You can do this by pressing your tongue to the roof of your mouth or by drinking warm water. The whole point is to warm the roof of your mouth because the reason you get brain freeze is that it's too cold up there. When you enjoy an ice cream or other cold foods like slushies or popsicles, eat them slowly so the roof of your mouth has time to warm back up in between bites. Your body and brain control a long list of body functions, including temperature. Have you ever had a fever? If you have, you know that even just a few degrees of difference in temperature can really have negative effects on your whole body. So, when you put something too cold in your mouth way too fast, your body's first reaction is to warm yourself back up. This starts a flood of different responses in your body, and one of them is brain freeze. But how do you know you have brain freeze and not just a normal headache or migraine? The main differences are in the symptoms. Migraines are normally related to pain on either one side of the head or the other, nausea, sensitivity to light and sounds, and occasional blurry vision. These symptoms have nothing to do with brain freeze, which is just a sharp pain to the head. Also, brain freeze goes away quickly and comes on after eating something cold. Headaches stay longer and come on for different reasons. But they do have a connection. The trigeminal nerve is involved in both migraines and brain freeze, but in the case of brain freeze, it's reacting to a very sudden event that disappears as quickly as it came on. Did you know the term brain freeze was registered by 7-Eleven in 1994? That's the name they gave to their signature Slurpees, which, you guessed it, can absolutely cause brain freeze if you slurp too fast. Did you also know brain freeze is one of the most common types of headaches experienced and is more common in children than in adults? Researchers believe this is because children have smaller palates. Palates are the name for the roof of your mouth, and children also have smaller throats. Because these parts are smaller on children, they can get cooler faster, with receptors more quickly activated. A receptor is an organ or cell that will respond to light, heat, or other outside stimulus and send a signal to a sensory nerve. So, in brain freeze's case, receptors in your mouth respond to cold foods and send the signal to the trigeminal nerve, which then transmits the pain known as an ice cream headache. Brain freeze might be more common in children because adults most likely have increased nerve stability to cold stimuli compared to children, and also because adults may have learned to consume cold things more slowly, so as to decrease the chance of getting brain freeze. Is brain freeze dangerous? Well, it certainly doesn't feel nice, but it has no long-term effects, and actually, it's kind of a good thing. It's like your body's warning sign that you need to slow down on eating the cold item so your brain can continue its normal supply of blood and oxygen. Did you know that brain freeze may have a heritable component? That means if parents experience brain freeze, then their kids probably will too. Some research even shows that people who experience brain freeze also tend to experience migraines. So, if your parents don't have a history of headaches, then the risk of you getting headaches or brain freeze is less. So, brain freeze, or the ice cream headache, or its medical name, which is way too hard to pronounce, but we'll call it the SPG headache, happens when the cold from something you eat or inhale hits the roof of your mouth or back of your throat, changing the temperature from warm to cold. Most people believe the pain of brain freeze is caused by the triggering of the trigeminal nerve, which is the nerve that carries sensory information from your face and around your head to your brain. Once this nerve is triggered by eating cold foods, the blood vessels constrict from being cold. To deal with this sudden temperature drop, your body sends more blood to warm the affected area, causing the blood vessels to swell. The constriction of the blood vessels and the rush of blood causes your brain to freeze. So, brain freeze definitely has to do with the sudden onset of freezing temperatures in your mouth. But is it the trigeminal nerve responsible for the pain or the shrinking of the blood vessels? Only more research in time will tell. Brain freeze is simply your body's reaction to eating too cold foods, so slow down on the ice cream. Think of it this way: the slower you eat, the longer you'll enjoy it. See you next time!
We are thrilled that you're watching Blues Studios 24/7. We're so excited to bring round-the-clock entertainment and educational content to your home. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest videos. At Blues Studios, we aspire to revolutionize the way families spend time together. We empower families by providing them with tools to work together, earn and learn, and achieve new heights of success. Visit www.bluestudios.io to discover more about our mission and how we empower families to succeed. Thank you so much for being part of our community. Keep watching and learning with us. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.